So yes, um, so let me start this story by giving you the configuration of the house that we were living at the time. So this is the house that we moved to, the second place, when my wife arrived in January 2020. Sorry, January 2020. I had moved to this house a few weeks before in preparation for her arrival. It was closer to the school, and also it we thought it was a bit more. It had, even though we were still renting a room, the room gave us a bit more privacy than what we had before, than what I was living before when I was there by myself. So around a year later, so around winter of 2021 or very late 2020, is when this particular incident occurred. So this story started a few weeks before the actual confrontation. I remember I was in my or basement apartment, and I wanted to go up to get something from the fridge. Now on my way up, oh sorry, I forgot to tell you the configuration of the building. So in the house there were 5 rooms. Now in these rooms, one of the rooms was there was an Indian couple. Let's call the female Karandeep. She's important. In one of the other rooms, there's this Canadian guy. Let's call him John. The other room, another room, there's a Korean guy. Call him Kim. In the fifth and final room, there's this Eastern European guy. Let's call him Igor. Now, on my way up to get something from the fridge, it was the Indian couple along with John and his girlfriend. Now, John's girlfriend didn't officially live there, but she spent a lot of time there. But I don't really have a problem because live and let live. I don't care who people want to have in their rooms. Now, up until this point, for the last year, I've we've had a cordial relationship with these people. I mean, these people were pretty much all in their mid 20s, and we were in our mid 30s, and we are not particularly talkative people. But we are cordial. We know how to live with people. So after I heard the talking and the laughing on my way up, John and his girlfriend, the Indian couple. Now I went up, I said hi, I took what I wanted to take from the refrigerator. But something about the atmosphere changed when I went, and this is the first time I've ever seen that. And I've been there for a long time. I've never walked into anywhere, the living room, and felt unwelcome. These people have always been nice. So I felt the vibe change. But me being me, I my wife would say I ignore obvious cues, right? But that's my nature. The nature of their conversation was that they were talking and laughing about the raccoon. There was this raccoon, especially in winter, who would take a set on our garbage right so outside the kitchen, the garbage that was there, and the raccoon was there at the time. And I made a comment about it, and I don't mean to toot my own horn, but I am fairly witty, and the statement was pretty corny, but normally people would react to some things like that, especially in Canada, because people are overly polite here. But the reaction was subdued. I caught the vibe, I went about my business. I pretty much forgot about that incident until a couple of weeks later. Um, when I got home from school, my wife told me that there's a post-it on the refrigerator. And the post-it says, please do not eat our food or ask us before you touch it, please. So my wife says she responded by writing something on the same post-it to say, this is in very bad taste. That was her response, and she left it right there. Now, me being me, I went back up and I looked at the post-it. I took a picture of it and I sent it in an email, and I said, I think we should maybe have a discussion about this. We should have a meeting. We'd had a very productive meeting about a month before that, because a month before that I won't go into much detail about it, but there was this situation where the refrigerator was very disorganized, leading to disagreements about whose food goes where. So we had a meeting. We came to a situation where everybody was assigned a particular area in the refrigerator to match the previous system that my previous landlord had, which is, everybody has their own section. And that, I thought, was the end of any issue. But of course, we have a new issue. So I said, let's resolve it. Now, the Indian lady, let's call her Karandeep, she responded to my email very positively. She said, yes, let's have the meeting. I'm free around 12:30 p.m. tomorrow. I'm not sure about anybody else, but that would be great. These are students, and we were all studying from home, so most of us would have been available. So I'm glad that she put a date and a time on it. Now, John had the email that really broke everything wide open. His response to Karandeep was to say, yes, Karandeep. He didn't respond to me. He didn't mention me. He said, Karandeep, yes, I agree with you. This was my idea, but he doesn't agree with me. He agrees with Karandeep. We should have a meeting because Igor and Kim have also complained about missing items in the kitchen. Now, Jamaican people, if people from all around the world is listening to this, I just reread the email a while ago before starting this video, and I'm amazed about how on the nose this guy decided to approach the situation. That should tell you that how serious he is. He's in no uncertain terms. He's telling me, you are a thief. If you do the math, I'm not sure if the people who just listened to what the email just said got it. He agreed with Karandeep. He mentioned everybody else in the house, plus himself, who is missing items. So if you do the math, there's one set of people left, and that's me and myself and my wife. We are the thieves. I didn't realize this. Like, my wife, when she responded to the post, it thought she was sticking up for somebody else. We now realize that we are the thieves. Now, Jamaican people, I'm speaking specifically to you. Now, you know that this is very unlikely that a Jamaican was going to steal food from people of other nationality, because we are very peculiar when it comes to food. I mean, I was living in Ontario at the time, and people who live in Ontario knows. Jamaican things are there for us. There was a store close to the location. I was going to Fanshawe College. I had my bicycle. 15-minute or less than 10-minute bicycle ride down the road, there was a store called Food Basic. Food Basic had everything I needed. And I don't want to insult people of other nationalities, but I should tell you, Jamaican people will eat at the restaurants, but homemade food from other nationalities. We do not. And even if you have the snacks in the fridge, your cheeses, your things, your this, your that, these are not things that are appetizing to Jamaican people. I don't mean to insult people, but I have to tell you the truth because it calls for it in this situation. Moving on. So I responded to the email. So of course the meeting is no longer required because I now know the solution to the problem. The solution to the problem is that I, the thief, I don't know what I should do. So I decided to attack the person who I knew is the instigator, which is Mr. John, because I know John. John is a kind of person who, when you leave the room, he will speak behind your back because he speaks behind everybody else's back to me. So I know that he would speak about other people, speak about me as soon as I leave the room as well. So I responded, I said, John, you are a liar. You're an instigator. And I went on to say many things in that email. It was long-winded and it was stupid. And rereading it, I'm kind of almost embarrassed by what I wrote. But in my email, I said, I don't believe anybody is stealing anybody's food at all, and I'm not going to accuse anybody of stealing my food. And I have to admit, I've never missed anything of mine in the refrigerator, and I'm not going to accuse somebody to try to divert any attention from myself. If you believe I stole it, fine. But I'm not going to accuse anybody else. I did not steal your food. I don't believe anybody else stole your food. And I said, this psychology of people leads to a situation where people tend to accuse other people to divert attention from themselves. But I'm not going to partake in that kind of action. And I said, I remember my last paragraph. I said, today, John, you've hurt me very deeply. But guess what? Your turn will come. It won't come from me because I didn't want him to misconstrue my statement as a threat to him. Because I wasn't threatening him. Your day will come. Anyway, he responded to me and he went on to say something to the effect of, should I remain silent while my food is stolen and I am not the only one who complained because Karen Deep, and this is the coup de grace, Karen Deep also was missing, and I quote, feminine products from the bathroom. People, feminine products. Can you imagine? My wife is stealing Karen Deep's feminine products from the bathroom. Can you imagine that accusation if that ever got back to my wife? I couldn't even mention anything to her. I was flabbergasted when he said that. Anybody who knows my wife, oh my gosh. Jamaican people, she's one of those big yai, feisty people. She not touch people things. Anyway, moving on. I responded to him and I said, I didn't push the argument any further. I said, John, thank you for your response. I now know exactly what I need to know. I don't need to know anything else. So this is the reason I tell this story is to immigrants in general, not only Jamaicans. You are viewed in a particular light, especially by the locals. You have to be very careful. And what I did was I reached out to the landlord. I explained the situation. I went on to send him the email thread because everybody was being copied on these emails, all of the tenants. It was a reply to all situation. I sent it to the landlord. Long story short, the landlord took my side because he knows that we were quiet. Our rent was always paid on time using an e-transfer. And quite unprofessionally, but I did appreciate it, the landlord told me that Mr. John was the kind of person who did not pay his rent. And he was eventually kicked out. I have to say, I'm not the nicest person in the world. I was happy that he was kicked out because of how deeply he hurt me with his statements and instigated other people against me. I can't say I was unhappy to see the back of him. But that's how you protect yourself.